Hi, I'm Tom Macy. I'm the Forest Health Program Administrator with the OhioDNR Division of Forestry, and I'm going to talk with you today about the proper way to plant a tree or shrub. And the first step with that really is making sure that you do some research on the plant that you're planting and make sure that where you're planting it, there's the right amount of sun or shade or soil moisture and space for that plant to grow. So once you have the appropriate site picked out for where you want to plant your tree or shrub, the next step is to dig the hole that you're going to be planting in. And a really important point about digging that hole is you want it to be nice and wide, at least twice as wide as the container that the plant is growing in. The hole doesn't need to be really any deeper than the container that the plant's growing in. And one important thing that I like to do as well is around the margins of the planting hole, I kind of use the shovel to break up any sod or clay or hard soil around that planting hole so that eventually the roots of the tree or shrub can grow outside of that planting hole easier. So the soil that you've excavated from the planting hole, it's nice to get that in a wheelbarrow and mix it up with organic matter like compost or pine bark mulch, especially if it's heavy clay soil. That can really benefit the plant, provide nutrients, and hold moisture better. So it's good to get that in the wheelbarrow and break it up and get any large chunks of clay or roots out of there, so you have a nice fine soil that you can backfill around the roots of the plant. So the next step is to get the plant out of the container, and I'm planting a buckeye here today. So you want to just kind of get it loosened up, get all the roots out, and this step is really critical. What you want definitely to do is to sort of rough up the edges of the roots so that they're all free and no longer sort of growing in that shape of the container that it was in. And this will ensure that in the future we don't have girdling roots that continue to grow in a circle and eventually strangle the root system of the tree. So just go around that root ball and rough up the roots, and you can see all these roots in here. Make sure they're free so they can grow out. So another really important thing to look for on a tree or shrub once you get it out of the container is that sometimes they're buried too deeply in the soil in the container. So you want to make sure you're checking around the base of the trunk of the plant, and you want to make sure that you find the top of the roots, sort of the root flare. And you can see how deeply this one was buried in the container, and I can see here's the root flare right here. So we want to make sure that when we plant it in the ground, this is basically at ground level. So now that we have most of the soil knocked away from the roots, we can see that we don't have encircling or girdling roots there. We can place it in the planting hole, and we want that root flare right about just at or slightly above ground level. So we're going to place it in here, get those roots facing outwards, and then we can start to backfill and water the roots. So start doing that. Filling in soil there around the roots, making sure our tree is nice and straight. Now once we've got the hole partway filled, we can lightly pack the soil in around the roots, give it some water, and then finish. Okay, I've finished backfilling the hole, making sure not to bury the tree too deeply. I've also used the chunks of sod and clay to sort of form a ring, a berm around the tree to hold water. I've put bark mulch around the tree about 1 or 2 inches deep, and then From here on out, it's important to give the tree a really good watering, at least twice a week through the growing season, and enjoy your plant. Happy planting.